if we look at these, as you said, the left-hand one, as you were going back, there's obviously grip pressure. You were trying to grip it loose, which is something I tell everybody in terms of when I'm teaching and stuff. So you were trying to grip it looser, but as you got to about here, with the amount of wrist hinge you had now, you can't quite. You can almost see this thumb we saw on the front on camera was losing grip pressure. As you get to about here now, I mean, you can see this palm of your hand is actually off the club, and how close that head now is to your body.
Both palms are off.
Yeah, both exactly. So it's almost like you're clinging on for dear life, like you're hanging onto a cliff. So to stay there, I'm going to grip it loose. I think almost in human nature, if you're just holding on with your fingers, they're going to have some grip pressure, start squeezing. And also, then you've got to start trying to re-grip it with your thumbs. That's going to be an element of squeezing as the club comes down, which will kind of create sort of like this steepening of this club as you come back down here now to try and re-grip it. So at this point here now, that club face has now become open. So when you come in the golf ball, you've now got to try and fix that open club face by, as you said, using your hands. When you found you did 3/4 shots, or the feeling of 3/4, the club got less open, the shots went straighter. And if you look at this one on here now, all we sort of said was about keeping the width and the swing. Takeaway there as good as before. Turn the body a little bit more. Look at that backswing.
Yeah. It still looks close to my body, but
not.
Oh,
God, no. You compare that to...
it's right nearly on my shoulder. There's a good gap.
I mean, now, you've not done this deliberately, and I'm not going to say don't do it, but to try and turn more, your left knee and left leg have moved a bit more, even your heels coming slightly off the ground. Don't worry about it at all.
Really?
If it means you can turn a bit more, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
But before, I was trying to avoid that. Yeah.
Allow that, and if it only allow it if it means you helping to turn. If we're moving independently, that's the problem. Okay. Yeah. If the knee has to move and the foot has to move to make you turn better, then let it happen. Yeah.
Okay.
So don't try to actively move the knee or move the leg or in any sort of way that way. But if you're turning the torso better and getting that top half to work better, so you don't need to kind of create the backswing with the wrist and the elbows. Yeah. I mean, you just look a lot more neat and tidy there. Whereas this one's got the arms sort of splaying out.
Yeah, I was going to say that forearm is more vertical.
Exactly, it's much better, yeah. So the club now, as we said, we want the leading edge on your left arm to be square. So now it's square. Whereas this one, the club now was more in that direction. So the club head now on this right-hand one doesn't have to now square up. So when you come back to the golf ball now, the club's coming a little bit more through your right shoulder bicep area. As we get back into it, but now it's sort of getting nearer to your right forearm, okay? As we then come back in the golf ball, the club now hasn't opened up in the backswing, so therefore you don't need to now square it by using your wrists. You can just release your body through. I'm in the screen there, dead centre, and the ball then you see sort of flying off just right at target with a nice little draw back to your target. But getting that sensation of being wider, it might feel 3/4. It might just feel you got to turn more. Doesn't really matter what you feel, it's whatever you identify as the movement to create that position at the top,
And that becomes the full swing then, no?
Exactly.
It might feel like I'm not going back so far. But that's not necessarily
why I would say most golfers, when they first start especially, struggle with distance control because they've got no idea where the club is behind their head. They can't work out how far the club's going back. Hence the reason why you've got dents in these ceilings, because people make goals and go boom. They think, the roof's miles away, I'll make a little turn and then boom, they hit the roof and off it goes. So that sensation of 3/4, as you said, is just going to get that club now squared up, more in line, just going to put yourself in a much more efficient position. Rather than being, yes, if you use your wrist on this left-hand one excessively, it might send the ball a little bit further, but the risk of accuracy. So when you've got to really sort of dig it out of the rough, and you go, okay, right, get a real big wrist in and just whack it, but that's sort of a needs basis where accuracy is not as much a priority. Generally, when you're in an 8-iron or a 9-iron or a 7-iron to a green, the target's a bit smaller. Yeah. If you're in a 7 or 8-iron at the rough to try and get down the fairway is probably 10, 15 yards wider, isn't it, than the fairway? Most fairways are one, the green kind of comes in a bit, So depending on what you're trying to do, depends on sort of what shot you may try to choose. But for your stock, basic shots, we want to maintain a lot more kind of width. So we're turning the torso, the hip movement now is nice. We're getting the top of the back, so we're actually going to go for the good position. And if the knee has to move, say, to help you do that, so be it. You might find we can, over winter now, we're not on the course as much, we could do some exercise. You felt when I first put it, that's a stretch. So maybe just do a little bit of stretching towards that, just to make that move feel a little bit more comfortable without having to move the leg maybe as much. Obviously, longer if we can keep the left leg quieter, happy days. But if it needs to move, don't resist it moving. That's the whole thing. All right. Makes sense, then,
What will keeping the left leg more stable do?
I think it'd be a little bit easier if you sort of move onto your left and just generally maintain your body position. Yeah, if the left knee is moving a little bit more, there's a potential you could only wobble off a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be massively you're moving. Yeah, and on a flat lie, I wouldn't say it'd be an issue. It's more, I guess, if you're on like an uphill lie or a down, or the ball below your feet line, you're trying to reach down for it. You might lose a bit of that all playing in the wind. Yeah, if you've got your feet off the ground, then you're not as stable at that point as the club gets above your head. Yeah, so if a big gust of wind comes, and then you can't quite get back to the goal pool. So as I say, I'd rather you move it and get a better backswing, but maybe long term in time. What you might find by just getting that backswing longer and feeling that stretch, you are going to be able to move better because you don't need to stretch quite as much. Okay, let's have a few more. Go on. It's good. Very good, mate.